What's going on, everyone? I'm just a typical average American here today to react and learn about how the UK got so rich. I never knew this, but apparently the UK is very wealthy, especially compared to other larger countries. So today, I'm interested in learning about how the UK accomplished this and achieved all this success. So, with that being said, let's take a look.
How on earth can the country which is the 80th largest by land size in the world, with the 21st largest population, have the 5th largest economy on the planet?
Seriously, what? That is exactly the question for today. This is the perfect way of putting it, actually. So this is the...
How on earth can the country which is the 80th largest by land size
80th largest by land size, but I think what's even more important is the population of the UK.
Is in the world, with the 21st largest population.
Yeah, here we go. 21st biggest population in the entire world, about 67 million when this video was made.
Have the 5th largest economy on the planet.
But it's the 5th largest economy. 21st biggest population, but 5th in economy in the entire world. That's insane. That's amazing.
With an economy size of around 3.1 trillion US dollars,
wow.
The United Kingdom stands as the country with the 5th highest GDP in the world.
Wow, wow, wow. I just want to look at this list real quick. What is this? Number 1, United States. Haha, hooray. Number 2, China. 3 is Japan. 4 is Germany. I didn't know that. And then the United Kingdom. That's amazing. That is amazing. Because of course, the United States, like, we are gigantic. There's like well over 300 million of us now. And the UK is much smaller, yet number 5 in the world in economy. I can't believe that.
Placing them above India, a nation with a population over 20 times larger and 13 times more land size. So how is this relatively small country so damn rich?
Yeah.
In this video, we shall find out.
It almost makes it sound like suspicious or something. How exactly is this small country so rich? What's going on over in the UK? But seriously, I feel like I could actually learn some important stuff. Like, how did this happen? How did the UK do it?
Alright, before we begin, let's have some quick-fire financial statistics, so that we've got some reference and baseline for understanding the wealth of the UK. The UK as a whole comprises of 4 different countries. England, Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland. Great Britain is just the island part, so it excludes Northern Ireland. It has a GDP of 3.1 trillion US dollars, a GDP per capita of just over $46,000, an average salary of $41,000.
Per capita. Measuring stuff per capita is a good way of doing it, because it's like making it relative to your population. $46,000 per capita.
Of just over $46,000, an average salary of $41,000. It exports $837 billion worth of goods. The average house price across the UK is $367,000 US dollars.
Wow. I think this video is a little old. I actually think average house prices have probably gone up like a lot in the past year or two. Certainly here in the United States, housing prices have gone like mad, crazy, like just skyrocketing.
However, the average house price in London is $705,000 US dollars. I've always thought that apart from London, the UK doesn't really have any super sprawling megacities. Birmingham and Manchester are pretty big, relatively speaking, but it's nothing like China, the US, or India, for example, who have multiple megacities with gigantic skyscrapers and sprawling city spaces.
Yeah, I was wondering what the narrator was like defining as a mega city. Mega city is like some crazy huge city like London, Hong Kong, New York City. There's not many of those on the planet.
Fun fact, China actually has over 100 cities with more than 1 million population.
Wow.
According to the UK Office for National Statistics, or the ONS, the services sector is the largest sector in the UK, accounting for more than 3/4 of the GDP. The service industry in the UK comprises of many industries, including finance and business services, consumer-focused industries such as retail, food and beverages, and entertainment.
So I think he was saying that in the UK, the service industry is like one of the biggest parts of the UK economy. I feel like that's got to be true for most countries all over the world. The service industry is so freaking massive.
Manufacturing and production contribute to less than 21% of the total GDP.
Wow. Manufacturing is less than 20% of the UK's economy. I'm actually a little surprised by that.
Agriculture contributes to just 0.6%. First of all, let's take a more in-depth look at GDP, the gross domestic product. This is how much a country produces and measures how big its economy is. Production translates into income because everything produced and sold gets paid for. And those
I'm very interested in this part. This is like explaining to me how big the UK economy actually is and how rich the UK is, so I can understand that. And then I'm really hoping this video is going to explain how the UK accomplished this. That I'm really excited for.
The market size means it can dictate terms on accessing its market, as other countries would love to access such a market. As mentioned earlier, the UK's GDP is around 3 trillion, which puts it 5th in the world, about 3.3% of global production. This
You know what else this reminds me of? I would love to know what the UK national debt is. Because in the United States, we might have the biggest economy on paper, 22 trillion or whatever, but the United States national debt is over like 30 trillion at this point. It's insane. So, yeah, we might be number one or whatever, but our national debt is crazy. It's bigger than our economy, our debt. So I'd actually love to know that about the UK.
Makes the UK a very important global economy. On GDP, China is the second largest, with around 13 trillion and rising, putting it at around 15 or 16% of the world's production. Next, GDP per capita. This shows roughly how rich a country's citizens are by dividing GDP by population. It shows...
Right. Per capita is interesting. It's actually a great metric for comparing how wealthy countries are, because all the countries have vastly different populations. So that this metric kind of gets rid of that. And it's like, how rich is the average person in any given country?
How much each person gets if wealth was shared equally, which of course does not happen, but it's still a useful measure. So while GDP shows how large an economy is, GDP per capita shows how rich it is. On this measure, the UK is around 22nd in the world, with around $43,000 US. Well below the likes of Monaco and Luxembourg, but still not too
Monaco and Luxembourg, who knew?
Bad. The UK led the way in industrialization in the late 18th century and developed many industries and institutions that have helped it retain a strong economy.
Oh, wait a minute. Are we finally getting to it? I think we're finally getting to it. The question, the topic of the video. How is the UK so rich? How did they do it? What'd they say? Starting in the 1800s with manufacturing?
Developed many industries and institutions that have helped it retain a strong economy. These institutions cannot emerge overnight, and currently very poor countries are developing them, but it will take lots of time. These institutions include rule of law, property rights such as physical and intellectual, competition law, an independent central bank, democracy, contract law, political checks and balances and independent judiciary, bankruptcy laws, welfare state, and compulsory schooling. All of these...
What is all this stuff? This is a little more complicated than I expected. What?
These things help the economy by helping a secure business environment and boosting human capital, that's skills and innovation. People invest knowing the government will not steal their capital.
Oh, okay. That was more talking about like all the processes and like restrictions and laws that are built around the UK business economy that like makes it able to function. Not exactly what I was looking for. Okay.
UK scores very highly on the World Bank's Doing Business report, which measures the business friendliness of the country's regulations.
Oh, wow. Ease of doing business. The UK is right there with the United States. We're like tied, 8th and 9th. Ease of doing business. Economy's best exemplifying a business-friendly environment. How business-friendly your economy and country is? New Zealand is #1. Wow.
It is kind of a flawed index, but can be used as a snapshot here to show that the UK values business and economic growth. Because of historically accumulated capital and skills, the UK has a huge productive capacity.
Yeah. Here in the United States, like, we really value, like, being able to start a business and capitalism and ruthless money making and all of that. Maybe to a fault, but it is also something cool about the United States. And it sounds like the UK is very business friendly as well. I wonder how far into the past we're going to go here, because the United Kingdom, like we could go back to the British Empire. I'm sure having something that monumentally worldwide and important set up the UK for future success, right?
Strong innovation, potential, and low costs. And these features make it competitive relative to countries that do not have these human and physical capital endowments. It has a very diversified economy, producing in many different sectors, including many high-value ones such as aerospace supplies and semiconductors. Just recently, Prime Minister Boris Johnson has vowed that the UK will become a superpower in terms of AI, technology, and innovation.
Oh my God, that's really good, because obviously in the last year or two, the AI has become like a household, buzzword. Like, everyone's talking about it. It's becoming more and more critically important to the world. So the UK focusing a national strategy on AI and probably microprocessors and compute and stuff like that is probably a very, very good idea for the future.
Within the next decade, many poorer countries have not got much past their primary resource exports, which are low value added. This lack of diversity also makes their economies vulnerable to global price dynamics, as primary commodities tend to have volatile prices. The UK...
This is interesting. It's they're kind of saying, like, fundamentally, countries that have a wide range of businesses have a probably more thriving economy, whereas countries that have to focus on just like one or two, I don't know, exports that they do. Like, if there's a country that just exports copper or something and that's all they can rely on, that's more difficult. Whereas the UK, kind of like the United States, focuses on a huge range of industries with a lot of success.
UK and other rich economies with diverse productive bases can absorb price shocks in any sector. If the price of cars were to suddenly fall, then the UK is still producing aeroplanes and semiconductors, so it can afford to take the hit. But if the likes of oil falls, then places like Saudi Arabia will be hit extremely hard and may not recover. Also,
Like, if your entire economy is dependent on oil prices, there's going to be times when you thrive and times when you suffer. But the UK is very, very diversified in what it creates and manufactures and exports. That's wise.
So, because of historically developed institutions, the UK has relatively stable monetary policies, which are good for business confidence, investment, and international trade. The UK has a leading position in economic affairs to the UN Security Council, OECD, IMF, World Bank, and its role in giving aid, all of which allow it to defend its interests abroad. Although...
Wow. Yeah, obviously the UK is very, very important worldwide for sure. You know what? I think I'm gonna stop right here for now. We have been going at this for a while. This is fascinating. We're only halfway done with this video. So far, this is really focused on the state of the United Kingdom's economy right now and kind of teaching me where the UK ranks in the global economy and strength. And it's incredibly successful for its kind of smaller population. It's actually incredible. And I think in part two, we're going to learn more about why the UK has been so successful. But I do think I am going to stop here for now and continue this in part two. So if you've enjoyed this so far, feel free to give this video a like or leave a comment with your thoughts on the UK and its economy and why the UK is so rich. I'm still itching to learn more about that. So if you've enjoyed this video and you'd like to see more videos like this, or part two of this video, feel free to subscribe for more. And until then, thanks for watching and see you next time.